Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. We appreciate jumping on here and talking some solar, a little different subject from what we have been talking about here, but we are starting to see more and more solar being installed on farms. We do solar residential farms, agriculture, and we also do some commercial as well. So we're located here in good old Lena, Illinois, just west of Freeport, right here on Main Street. We service an area about an hour and a half from Lena. It's about all the further out we like to go because we also do our own service work. So we want to be able to service people after the install as well. So our mission is to preserve the earth to the best of our abilities and offer the community the best quality care and natural energy. We take pride in our environment and our work. This is just a basic solar 101. Here's how solar works. When we mount panels, this is just a picture. What you're seeing is a roof mount. We also do a lot of ground mounts. I'm sure you folks have seen a bunch of them. When sun hits the panels, it actually makes DC current. Well, DC is great for batteries, but we need AC current to power up our lights and whatever else we need to power up on our property. So we'll mount an inverter. The wire will go through the inverter. Now we have AC power. Okay, it then connects to your property either through a breaker box or the meter itself, whichever is less invasive, whatever code lets us do, we will do. Priority is always your property, your farm, your house, your business, whatever we're powering up here. We power that up first. That's the priority. On sunny days, when there's overproduction, this is the fun part. The overproduction goes back out through the smart meter, back out onto the grid. So if you've heard any of our commercials, it says your meter actually runs backwards. It actually is running backwards. Power's going the opposite way. We're pushing power out on the grid. And the great thing about our net metering laws here in Illinois, and every state is different. I guess I'm just going to touch base on Illinois for now. The great thing about our net metering laws is you get full credit for what you push out on the grid. So in other words, if you're paying 8 cents for your 8 cents a kilowatt hour for your power, when you push power on the grid, you're getting credit for 8 cents. Now, you won't get a check for that, but they will keep track of that in terms of overproduction. It will show on your bill how much overproduction you have accrued. The idea is when the days are nice and long, say April through September, maybe October, you're probably going to overproduce many of those months. Then you have those kilowatt hours banked, and then you can use them in the winter months like now, when the days are short, and keeps your electric bill low year round. Our process, here's how we do this. It's pretty simple. If you're interested at all in solar, we need to see your power bill, front and back, especially if it's a ComEd bill. That tells us everything we need to know. Excuse me. That way we know how much power you use and how much you're paying for it. And then we can design a system correctly. How many panels does it take? How much are we going to save you? How much is your monthly bill now year round? How much will your bill be? Okay, so we have our designer is in-house. And by the way, everything we do is in-house. We don't sub stuff out. Our in-house designer will put together a proposal, an array. I would come and I can either email it to you, or I could come, if you're comfortable with that, come and meet with you one-on-one and go over it with you. We sign a solar contract. We get your system installed. The install time is generally about 60 days from the sign time, simply because it just takes that long to get the permitting and everything, inventory and everything lined up to do it. And then once you're installed, you start saving money. Designing your system. When you send us your power bill, obviously we're going to look at satellite images of your farm or your house. The software we use is called Aurora Solar. It's a really good, accurate, honest software that uses LiDAR. 3 things we can do with that. We can figure shading if there's trees in the way, silos, corn bins, things like that. Takes into account dust or dirt. You're not required to wash your solar panels. We wait for Mother Nature to wash them. If we get 2 or 3 weeks where it doesn't rain and you live on a gravel road, you're going to get some dust on them. It takes that all into account. And also snow and ice. Like right now, we've had a pretty snowy winter. We live in the upper Midwest. We are going to get some snow and ice. So it's pretty cool. We can figure out, you know, you're going to make this much power, you're going to save this much per month. Permitting and applications. We do all of this. Once you sign that solar contract, you've done your part, now we do our part. First thing we have to do is ask, around here anyway, ComEd owns all the power lines. You can buy your power from whoever you want. In other words, your supplier. ComEd owns all the power lines, so they're always the delivery person. We're going to connect your solar system to their grid, so we have to ask for interconnection. So we'll apply for that. Depending on where you live, there's going to be city or county permits. We'll apply for them. And then we also have to ask ComEd for net metering, which I touched base on before. This stuff all has a application fee. Everything is included in the price. Once you sign a solar contract, we don't come back and ask for any more money. Here's just, if you're looking at this, gives you some ideas of different mounts. We do all kinds of mounts. The one on the left obviously is a shingled roof, like say a house. Some older farm buildings will have shingles on them. We also do a lot of steel roofs, like on a pole building. Standing seam roofs, which you see a lot of that on houses nowadays. Obviously for a shingled roof, we're going to snap line. We have to hit a truss, or purling, we have to hit something solid, okay? The lower right picture shows on a steel roof. We do get questions, is this going to leak if I do this? If it's done correctly and we do things correctly, it won't leak. Some more examples here. This is a steeper steel roof. This shows the rails. They get mounted first, and then the panels obviously bolt to the rails. The picture on the right is an optimizer. We use optimizers, one for each panel. Those get bolted on first, the panels get bolted onto that, and from there on out, it's plug and play. A couple more examples here. This is a nearly completed system on the left picture there. The right picture, clear to the right, the white box, that's the inverter, and that's all the bigger they are. They're not that big. This particular installation had a Generac generator, so there is an extra ATS switch, automatic transfer switch we had to install. That's mounted next to the inverter there. Quickly too, we are a Generac dealer. We also do standby generators and battery systems. Some more examples here. Couple nice, there's three nice roof mounts on barns. The upper right one is this is what our ground mounts look like, and this is a split ground mount. The reason it's split is it was just a matter of how much room we had. There just wasn't enough room to put everything in one row. We can do 2 rows. In fact, we just finished one Monday that was a split ground mount. Incentives. There are quite a few incentives out there that help us pay for solar. I'm talking residential first. So if you have a residential power bill, which most of us that live in houses are just kind of residential. Some farms have residential bills, some have commercial bills. Okay, the first really great incentive we have is a 26% federal tax credit. Okay, that's based on what you pay for your solar system. So do simple math. If you buy a $20,000 solar system, you now have a $5,200 federal tax credit. And I'm sure you all have used tax credits before, know what they are. That just reduces what you owe the federal government on your taxes. That's something you talk to your accountant or tax preparer about to make sure you can use it. The other great incentive, we touched base on that on the How Solar Works screen, the 1-for-1 net metering, which is very important. Again, when you overproduce in the summer, those kilowatt hours can be banked, and then you can use them in the winter. Each state has different metering. Illinois has 1-for-1 net metering. Wisconsin and Iowa, their net metering isn't quite as attractive. Theirs isn't 1-for-1, but they do also have net metering that helps. Get into commercial now, commercial solar incentives. If you have a commercial bill, there's a ComEd Smart Inverter incentive, and this is a cash refund. It's $250 per DC kilowatt. That's a very nice incentive to have. Solar, this is one of the greatest things, especially for you farmers out there. Solar can be depreciated. There's 3 different ways you can depreciate it. again, talk to your accountant. So this is no different than buying a tractor, trading combines. It can be depreciated. There also are REAP grants that may be available. REAP is Rural Energy for America program. You would have a grant writer do that for you. We have a list of grant writers that can help you with that. That can pay up to $20,000 toward your solar system. There's a couple different ways you can apply for it. You can actually apply for more than that also. And also keep in mind, commercial receives the same incentives that the residential had, the 26% federal tax credit and the 1-for-1 net metering. Additional incentives, again, we're hounding on that net metering, but that's very important. That's just an outstanding incentive to have. We mentioned this a little before, investment in your property. Property values increase, taxes do not. Again, depreciation, you can depreciate it 3 different ways. Again, talk to your accountant or tax preparer about that. One other, this is an Illinois incentive, SREC, Solar Renewable Energy Credits. This is an Illinois incentive. Okay, this incentive came out about 3 years ago. It's a really neat program. Actually, what they did, there were other states like, I believe, Massachusetts and Washington that did this exact same thing years ago. Illinois kind of copied it. It was or it is a really nice incentive. When they wrote it, they thought there was going to be 4 years capacity in it. It went over so well, it only lasted 3 years. So it did run out of capacity in December. We're hoping the state legislature puts more capacity in it when they meet here in the spring. There is a bill downstate awaiting that. What's going on now is new PV installs, in other words, people that sign a solar contract are being put on a wait list. So when they do put more capacity into it, those on the wait list are going to get funded first. So that's what we know about that. We're hoping they do their job. The money's there, they just have to get more capacity put into it. And that's kind of an overview on solar from us here at Stateline and good old Lena.
Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it. We actually have 2 questions so far.
Okay.
First question is, are the Generac generators cost included in the federal and state energy tax credits, or is it just for the solar system?
Generac generators are not, because they do burn fossil fuel, so you do not get the tax credits on that. If you did decide the other way to do backup energy is a battery system, those do qualify for the tax credits.
Got it. Thank you. And then second question is, could a ground mount service a home and either barn or / outbuilding?
Say that again.
So a ground mount panel service, is that satisfactory, or does it have the ability to service a home and outbuilding or barn?
Oh yeah, it could. We can only hook solar up to 1 meter. Some farms have 2 meters. There are times we can do virtual net metering where we can have the ComEd will let us tie the meters together, but generally the solar system is only hooked up to 1 meter and it'll backfeed to all outbuildings. So I guess the answer is yes.
Okay. And we got another one that's coming in here too. I guess probably asking about longevity. How long do solar panels last, and what do you do with them when they no longer work?
That's a very good question. I should have covered that a little better. All of the solar, there's 3 major components to a solar system: the panels themselves, the inverter, and the optimizers we use. Everything we install has a 25-year performance warranty. So that doesn't mean when the panels have their 25th birthday, they shut off, of course. Panels do degrade over time. They lose some of their production value just because they sit out in the sun. But the panels we use have a 92% performance warranty, which means in year 25, they should still be putting out 92% of what they did on day 1. As far as disposing them, I guess we'll worry about that in 25, 30 years. There are environmental issues. You can't just throw them in a landfill, but I know they can be recycled. we've been in business about 4 years. Obviously, we haven't run into that yet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So more to come on that one. All right. Well, I think that takes care of the solar portion. I don't see any other questions in here. You've got the contact information to get a hold of Stateline Solar if you'd like to look at that option.